Hi everybody. I just wanted to show you these lovely Kozo papers that I got during the week. I was very excited, so I wanted to make a project. And this one here has got citrus leaves in it. Isn't it luscious? This one's got banana leaf. And this here, this grey and black and white one, that is, what is that, mango. And this one here has got little flakes of stone mica in it. It's black. And so I decided to make a picture. I've been playing with I had a frame. It's an IKEA frame, very cheap. And I used this shape here. And I drew it on this piece of card. It's a bit, I don't know whether it's going to be thick enough, but you know, we try it. I also want to be able to stitch through it at the end. And I just wanted to show you, you know, how we can simply put something together. So, yes, I've got this lovely piece of grey and white here. I've got the black stone flake one there. And I've just got a combination of them, layering them up. This one here was, I had a bit of problem with my camera, so I'm just catching you up. It was a piece of this goldy paper, wrinkledy. And I just like it when you do that. So that's what I did. Tore that. Just to balance it up, that's a bit of lace here. Oops, see? And that's a bit of netting fabric that I brought home, and it's a silvery colour. So if you can see, I've then mixed, well, I didn't mix it with any water because I didn't want it to ripple, you know how it can get too wet. So I wanted this something that anyone could do. So I've just used plain old craft glue, white glue, hobby glue, and just layered some things down. See how I've used the net here, but you can still see the patterns underneath. And I think it's going to be pretty nice. Now I've just used that glue and given it a start to set. You know, there's so many ways we could go from here. Who knows what we'll do. You know, if we decided we could... decided we liked it, we could pop a bit of that in there. You see, quite nice. Yeah. Offset in the center, really doesn't matter. We're going to do more with this, but that's just sort of showing you how you can, you know, layer that up, do things you like. Here's a piece more of this black. See how lovely it is when it's a ripped edge. So, you know, we could plan to do that. We could do a bit of that kind of thing. Isn't that nice? Pop it there. I may even do that. Or we got a big expanse here. Maybe I could do it there. You know, you just try things to see what you might like, and that's what you do. So that's what I'm going to work on. And I liked to put the white bit in there because I thought, oh, it's a focal point. We might put 3 buttons or a piece of material and then something else. And, you know, you can think about, whilst you're putting your background together, what you might like to do. You know, it could be just as simple as... Sorry. I picked these up the other day when I was walking. Isn't that lovely? There's a picture. I've used my glue and a paintbrush, and I've just basically started to glue it down. Now we've chosen a few more bits. Oh, look what see, I keep things like this all the time. You know, we could pop a feather in. We could do anything we like. Maybe you've got a really nice piece of embroidery or felting that you did one time and you want to pop that in. You know, it's a collage kind of thing of what you like. It's your personal artwork, and really they can be quite easy to do. Yeah, because some of these papers, aren't they gorgeous? They're just gorgeous as they are. Now I will pop a little bob of glue underneath it. I did use a brush before, but I've since washed my brush, so I'm just going to do that. Wiggle, 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 and just put it in there so that I remember I want it to be there. There. See, that's what it would look like in your little frame already. You see, quite nice, isn't it? Really quite nice. And you could just leave it at that. You could put a pressed flower there. You could put a feather that you collect. You know, you could do all kinds of things. Maybe you've got something that you put a lot of work into and you didn't like it, and you still want to use it. You liked that bit, so you cut it up and you put a bit in there. Maybe it's a bit of felting, or something you found. So many things would work. Anyway, I haven't used a very heavy backing here. I wanted it heavy enough so it wouldn't ripple when I glued it, but I also wanted to be able to, if I wanted, to get a thicker thread through. So you could couch threads on, you could sew through this, it's not very thick. You could glue more things on, you could add elements. You know, these are just paper clips. We have gone very neutral. Maybe you want to bring a colour in. Or, like I said, a bit of lace would be nice. I've actually brought in this nice piece of eco dyeing, just a scrap that I had, because I thought, yeah, I'd quite like that to be very organic looking. That was a yo-yo that I just brought in and tried out. But I think I would like, most of all, I really like that. So I'm going to pop it there. There's a bit of hand-dyed linen. I quite often use this bit of lace. But I really like the idea here that we might do, we've got so many straight lines. Let's do some curves. I have a diagonal there in one side and maybe out the other. Could couch some things on, perhaps. Something like that. Once you've decided, pop a little bit of glue on. We did the brushing earlier, but you may need to weight it down perhaps to get it to stick. But next we're going to start some stitching. So I'm grabbing out a cotton now. I'm looking to see what I might want. Well, I'm still very neutral. Maybe an orange, a turmeric kind of color, or something like that. I'll pop in there, and I'm just sorting out what I could use. So I've got a pearl cotton that's a lovely neutral white, beige, brownish. It just keeps gradually changing. It's a variegated yarn, and here I'm going to start. So we are looking for a needle that can pierce the paper, so something with a point. Doesn't have to be very thick, but it has to have an eye that's large enough to take your thread. And I'll leave a little tail underneath rather than doing a knot. And I can sticky tape that down. Later I could feed it through the other stitches, but whatever. The main thing is I'm not trying to leave a big knot underneath. And here we go. So we're doing some seed stitch. Little stitches like a sprinkling of seeds that are all scattered, and each one points in a different direction, so you have that kind of variety. I'm using this stitch not just to be decorative, but I'm taking it down one edge of that eco-dyed fabric and through several layers. So when I glued it, it was just to hold it in place, but I can add this stitching then to reinforce it. So I'm going to take it all the way. I'll get the corner of those white textured pieces of cardboard, but I'll continue that down into that beautiful black handmade paper. Now at the back, I turn it over and I can feed it through those stitches. And that's good as a knot, we've trapped it, that's good enough. If you wanted to do more, you could add some sticky tape. So that was good. And now we'll choose a different color I have these different threads, and I'm choosing one that's oh, now what would it be? Mustard coloured? Mustard, I think. I'm still very natural colours. If anything, I've gone orangey, yellowy ochre kind of colours. So now the same thing with the next thread. We'll leave a little tail so that we can feed it through later or sticky tape it. And we'll come up in a different area. This time I'm going over where we put that little bit of, it was a nice silvery mesh kind of lace on a netting. So it's very subtle. But I'm wanting to use maybe some crosses this time as we go down. And I'll also make sure I put a few stitches into that lovely gold textured piece of paper that I had torn that I showed you. And I'm just going to meander down, making sure I catch the edges of that lace or net. Now, by no means do the crosses have to be in a row or all the same size. It's as random as you can make it. It's not going to matter. So that's the way I like it. So let's have a look so far. That glue's still a bit wet on that one, but that'll dry up. See these lovely little crosses? That's also a mustardy yellow colour, and I've brought it up and I've managed to trap some of these things down at the same time. Quite subtle, so I can still do other things. And seed stitch is what we used here, up with a thicker pearl cotton. But when you look at it as a whole, and I wish I had better lighting for you, but yeah, let's try that. Can you see? Really is an interesting background now, isn't it? All right, so now that didn't glue down too good, but it didn't matter. It was only meant to tack it whilst I attached it other ways. That's okay. If I wanted to, I could just get a blob now. The paper would go. And pop it down where I want it. But we'll stitch through it as well, so it's going to be fine. You know, if you had those paper brads and things that you wanted to use, you could do that. I keep all kinds of interesting bits and pieces around me. Bit of rust. I like to keep things like rust. Couldn't that be nice? I think it could. Anyway, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You can do what you like. I know I want to, just in case my glue didn't work, I want to add some more stitching here, but I'm thinking I'll couch something down, and that could well be my focal point actually. Or I did like these. Isn't that stunning? Very nice. Don't know, but I don't think it hurts at the moment to just go through and do a bit more stitching down. And you can use little crosses, you can use running stitch, you can use seed stitch, you can just couch, you can glue. You know, you could add whatever you want that's going to make it personal to you. But it's a great thing. You feel good about making your own artwork. I think so. So we need some more cotton. I've already bought in some of this yellowy mustard colour. I do have, oh yeah, that's got to go in, hasn't it? Definitely, that orange. So let's going to take a bit of that. Oh, you are nice. So what would I like to do with that? I've sort of attached that down now. So I had glue and then I used stitches, and over the lace I've got those little crosses to hold that down. Probably nothing's there yet on this bit, so I could go up and through that, and that would hold all of those pieces together. Yeah, I really would like to couch something. I'll have to look for something nice. I've been having a bit of a rummage. See this? This is a bit of yarn that I sort of semi-stiffened by mixing it with PVA glue. But it, you know, that would be quite nice couched on, I think. Something like that. We could certainly try it. Or we could go down there. Adds a bit of colour, doesn't it? So I don't know whether you saw that episode, but we'd use some yarn. This is eyelash. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, and then mixed PVA glue with water and just put it down some plastic and dried it so that it was interesting like that. And I quite like something like that on there. Would be quite nice. We don't want to do too much, but we do need something that, you know, do need something to link those up. I think something like that. Maybe out one side. Maybe doing a little curve, catching that coming out there. Maybe that would be okay. Let's try that. I'm just going to couch it on. And I've got some of this orange. Could use that. Huh? What do you think? Or we've got, what is this? I think it's a copper coloured waxed thread. Maybe that would be nice. This is from me jewellery making supplies. You never know what goodies you've got if you just blend your crafts together. This is quite nice, isn't it? If I can find my way in. There. Not really picking up the shine. I don't know. I'll try it. I'll try it and we'll see. I'm just going to cut a length of that. Now I was just looking at the needles I've got here. The one I just used I can't find because it's underneath other things. But I wouldn't want something too big. I just wanted to discuss needles because they will leave too big a hole, you know. So whatever is going to be sharp enough to get through, and also what is not going to leave a larger hole than necessary for the thread that you have. Just have that trailing in like if you saw a river from above. This is looking very tribal, I think, isn't it? We do want to make sure all of our things are attached, either with glue or with stitch. I've got to go one stitch at a time on this rather than like fabric. I'm trying to feel for it coming up with my finger. There it is. And sometimes you do layer things up, you know, we don't want to obscure our lovely crosses too much. I'll come up and over that bit. I just want something on the end of that to catch it. Take that off. See how I catch this one like a river running through. And you know, I can, if I want it more wiggly, I can just, you know, do that. I've got a piece here of copper. This is a fancy yarn. I just thought I could use it too. And I'm just going to do another layer back, you know, also wibbly wobbly. And I'm paying particular attention, like, you know, this one here needs to be attached, this here needs to be attached. But I could put something there. I could put, you know, we could put the leaves that we were looking at there. You could put that there. You could do, make sure that you couch through these going over that. I don't know, something. But at the moment, I am wanting to just do another layer and anchor it. A bit further away. I think these are better if you just do a stitch at a time rather than try and do that. I don't want it to get too busy. The fibres really speak for themselves, but I just want to, I don't know, maybe just something like that. I'll bunch that together a little bit. Make sure I get both of them in. I'll go in there. And I'm going to go on each side. Do one more out here that's going to be covered just to make sure it's completely in. So I have grabbed out the matting board from that and I'm putting it over it and seeing if I have any problems. Do I have a problem? Well, one of my problems is that this was my dark line was slightly larger. So it's showing in the shot. I can do something though, as long as I have a look at that and know that beforehand. So I'm just going to add that little bit of paper in there. It's quite nice that way as well. But yeah, I'm going to do that. And that will hide that edge of that. So what would I put here? I could do, a feather I pick up. I can do a nice leaf. I've got, skeleton leaves I can bring in. I've got dried flowers. Maybe it's a piece of work that you did previously that you really, really like. A little snippet of your stitchery or something to make it personal. Maybe it's a picture of a loved one. Who knows? But I think I'll just attach one thing more. Just remember, you can glue, you can sew, you can add it all together to make your own art, and I quite like it. Let's have a look. We've got some really nice details, I think. So that when you look at it from different directions, you'll see different things. We've got textures, found objects. And this has been fun. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have a go at doing collage. Mix it up a little bit. Mix up your crafts. Do a little bit of paper craft and sewing, from your scrapbook papers. How's that? 3 different crafts. But have some fun. That's the main thing. So, we've made art. My name's Tracey. Art Fibre Stitch is my business. I hope you've liked this. If you have, don't forget to press like, subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time.